This video covers device management. I will show you how to manage the devices that are already registered to your site. If you need to see how to register a device to your site, please refer to the previous video in this series which covers that topic. This is the device management screen in Airfob Space. You can see that there are a number of devices that are already registered to the site. We support a number of different types of devices, including our Airfob Edge readers and door locks as well, in addition to the Airfob tag and Airfob patch. The first thing that you'll notice here is that some of the devices have green dots next to them, some have red dots, and some have no dot at all. Let me explain what this means. A green dot next to a device means that it is connected to the network via an Ethernet cable. This is very important because for some functions of devices, like remotely opening doors, using QR codes, using link pass credentials, or updating firmware, you will need to have that device connected to the network. However, if you are using mobile credentials, you can use certain devices like the Airfob Edge reader without needing it connected to the internet at all times. So this device with a green dot has an active internet connection. This device with a red dot does not have an active internet connection. When I click on the device, you can see that I have a full range of options for this device, whereas I have limited options, some are grayed out, for this device. Before we go into all those options, let's talk about what you see on this screen. First, you will see the product that is registered. This is automatically supplied through our database. Next is the nickname for the device. You can set the nickname based on what you need for your particular site. There's a hard-coded device ID as well. If the device is registered as part of a device group, which I will show you how to do later, it will show up here. If the device is battery powered, such as this Airfob patch battery, you will see the battery status here. You can see the firmware versions, and you can see the time zone as well. Now, there are also several icons here at the top. The first is a refresh icon. I can click that to refresh the view at any time. The next is delete, which I will not click now, but that would delete a selected device. You can select one device here, or you can select multiple devices at the same time. It is possible to delete devices using our web interface, but for the best compatibility and the best results, we recommend deleting devices using our Airfob Pro app for iOS or Android, and I'll show you the process of registering and deleting devices in another video. You can also update firmware on a device by clicking this button. When you click, you'll see a list of all available firmware options, and you will click OK to confirm that you would like to update the firmware. Doing it in this screen is very handy when you are trying to update multiple devices at the same time in a batch. You can also select devices to manage the device groups that they are in, and you can see here that you can see if the devices are all in the same group or not. Here we can see that one of the devices is in the group and one of them isn't, as I selected two, and we have this sum indicator here. I'll go more into detail on device groups in another video. Let's click on a device and look through all of the options that are available here. At the top of the device info screen, you'll see again the basic device information, including the product, the model name, the serial number, and the version of the firmware it's currently running. You can see the nickname here, and this is a field that you can change at any time. So I could add another designator to it here. You can change the time zone. And then you can select if the device will use daylight savings time or not. This is an important topic we will go into more in depth when we talk specifically about daylight savings time and the difference between device time and site time. Here you can select if if a reader will use NFC or RF cards. By default, this is enabled. If you disable it, the reader will not take any RFID or NFC cards at all. If you enable it in this state, it will only read MyFair cards. If you'd like it to use Desfire or Felica cards, you'll need to check these boxes individually. Hands-free mode is the next option down. This extends the BLE range of the reader so that it can communicate with phones from further away. In certain cases, you may want to give people hands-free access to a reader so that they can keep their phone in their pocket. For this to be active, the Airfob Space app that they are using will also need to have hands-free activated. The next setting is for hands-free mode. This allows people to open the door while keeping the phone in their pocket. You will want to consider carefully if you want to enable this feature or not. And if someone will be using this, you should make sure that they also have hands-free mode enabled on the Airfob Space app that they're using to open the door as well. The next feature down is for the QR reader. You can connect a QR reader to an Airfob Edge reader using RS485 cable, and we have wiring diagrams for that available as well. You will only want to enable this setting if you have a QR code reader attached to the device, because it will take one of the device's ports, so you would not be able to use that for other purposes. You will also need to make sure that the QR reader is enabled under Site Settings, which I will show you later. Next is the beep setting. This is just simply how the reader sounds when you authenticate it. One short sound or the original rising tone, do-do-do. And we give you a choice here because we want you to be able to customize your space. Next are 4 buttons. Firmware update. This allows you to update the firmware for a single reader, just as you could in the previous screen as a batch operation. You can reboot the reader by clicking this. You can fully reset the device to factory settings by clicking this button. And this button resets the device but retains any custom network settings that you have entered. With your network settings, by default, you use DHCP to assign an IP address to the reader, but turning this off, you can manually assign the IP address, gateway, DNS, and subnet mask. Below this are the settings for TNA mode. In the Airfob Space app, you have the ability to select mobile TNA, which is one of our settings. And you can see here that this is actually set in another area, which I'll show you later. But this allows you to have all of your TNA codes appear in the Airfob Space app and be recorded in the event logs, so those can be passed along to your TNA system or your payroll system. You have some other options here. Disabled is the default option. By schedule allows you to set according to the schedule that is assigned here. So for example, you could set a schedule for morning hours being a clock in time and evening hours being a clock out time. We will cover schedules in depth in another video. Fixed allows you to set a specific code that will always be reused for that reader. So for example, you can have one reader set to clock in and another reader set to clock out. And every tap on the clock in reader will be a clock in event, and every tap on the clock out reader will be a clock out event. And mobile is the final option, which I already showed you. If you select mobile and you select TNA is required, users will not be able to authenticate the reader using their mobile app unless they first select a TNA code, which we will cover in another video. Next, we have sensitivity settings. Every reader, every environment, and every phone are a little bit different, so we give you the option to fine-tune the Bluetooth signal strength from the reader. So if people are walking down the hallway in a building and the readers are going off based on their phones being too far away, you could turn down the RSSI settings. If, on the other hand, a reader is in a very noisy area, noisy in terms of signals, and you need to increase the signal strength, you can do that here. I recommend adjusting this in fine increments and testing it rather than going to the extremes immediately. Finally, we have the ability to search for OM120 modules. OM120 modules are output modules that allow you to control a number of different relays. These connect to the Airfob Edge reader, and if one is connected, you can search for it here. These are used specifically for elevator control and locker control. That's a complete overview of device settings. The only final thing to remember is that once you have made changes here, you must click Save for those changes to take effect. They don't take effect until you save them here. If you click Cancel, your changes will be lost. Now that you know how to set up your devices and manage them, we will cover how to set up and manage doors. Here's how you manage devices in the Airfob Pro app. First, go to the All menu button and then select Device. And you can see a list of all of the devices that are already on your site. If you'd like to refresh that view, press the refresh button at the top of the screen. You can scroll through the devices here, and you can also see your devices according to group here. We can get a filtered view of the devices that are in a specific group by touching that group's arrow. To select multiple devices at the same time, touch one of the devices and hold your finger down, then select other devices as well. You can perform batch actions on those devices, such as adding them to your favorites. Let's select one of our devices to take a deeper look. At the top, we can see basic information about each device, including the name, model number, serial number, and firmware version. Then we can update things like the firmware, reboot the reader, reset the device, or reset the device but keep the network settings. Change name, time zone, enable daylight savings time, and all of the other features that you saw us manage from inside of the Airfob Pro portal for the web. If you're standing close to a reader, you can enable BLE mode as well, which lets you edit the network settings directly on the reader rather than through the network. This is great for troubleshooting if you're having trouble getting the reader to connect to the network for some reason. That's a full view of how to manage devices in Airfob Pro. Make sure to also watch our video on how to register devices in Airfob Pro as well. Now I'm going to show you how to add and remove devices using the Airfob Pro app. A few things to consider up front. First, you need to be logged into the Airfob Pro app using an administrator or master account. Only administrators and masters have access to devices, so you can't use this as an operator or observer. Second, the device needs to be connected to the network and have an internet connection. This is crucial. You cannot get the security certificates to the reader unless it is connected to the internet. So What you can see on my phone screen now is the Airfob Pro app. I'm already logged in as an administrator. And I'm going to go to All Menus and then go to Devices. And here I see the list of active devices already. And I'm going to come to the top of the screen and press the plus button. I see immediately that a device has come up and it's ready to register. I need to be relatively close to the device in order to do this. I'm going to press the register button. Now, you have the choice of creating a new door with this device. If you want to do that, that's your choice. Generally, it's a good time-saving measure. So I'm just going to press OK. That confirmation tone that you heard means that the device is now registered to the site, and I can confirm that by going back, and I can see now that it is waiting to be updated. That's this device up at the top here. And in just a moment, it will come online with a green dot next to it. Now, once again, that green dot means it's online and it has a good internet connection. It usually takes a couple of minutes for it to come online. And here you see I refresh my screen and the dot is now green. And I can go in here and I can start editing the settings, including the nickname. So we'll call this Demo Reader. And I can change the time zone and all kinds of other wonderful and cool stuff. Let's turn one thing on here, QR code, because this reader does have a QR reader attached to it. We definitely need that to be active. Once you're happy with all the settings, click Save. And as you can see on my screen again, the reader is now updated so it says Demo Reader, that new name, and all the other information remains the same. Now, if I go into my doors as well, I can see that this door has been created with the demo reader on it, and it's an Airfob Edge Reader Ultimate. I could add an exit device to that as well if I wanted to. Back to my devices, let's say that I am going to remove this device from the network. I need to select the device, and again, I've got to be close to the reader to do this. Select the device by holding my finger down on it until the check mark appears. And now I'm going to press the 3-dot button at the top and press Delete. It'll ask me if I want to delete the associated door as well. I'll say yes in this case, and press the Delete Confirmation button. And the sound you just heard means the device has been deleted and removed from the network, and it can be re-registered on a new site now.